Hello and welcome to Full Throttle. Today, like I promised, scheduled this week, I have Bob Puppis. How are you doing, Bob?
Doing great, Justin. How are you?
Oh, doing good. So, you've been on the show before, so we'll just jump right into it. You know how I like to do things. Um, so, Bob, this kind of touch on a couple things for us today. Touch on your work with the IndyCar and maybe some NASCAR things that you think is very interesting going into the racing season that people might uh think is interesting. So take it away.
All right. Well, I think it's going to be a wild season on both fronts. NASCAR building on last year had a great race at Martinsville with that new soft tire. Can they bring that to the short tracks and add excitement? Really looking forward to that as the season goes along. Obviously, you've got the first 14 Cup races on Fox or FS1, and as well as the full IndyCar season all on Fox. So we got the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500, and when you talk about the Indy 500 and the IndyCar season, so many drivers, new faces, new places. And is it going to be a year where a driver dominates like Alex Palou and winning the championship in 2023? Or is it going to be more reliant on consistency like Alex Palou did in 2024? So it's going to be a pretty exciting season on both circuits. And one thing I noticed when rewatching a lot of the races in both series is that there seems to be a lot more contact now than there was 4 or 5 years ago. So that should make for some exciting racing on the track and maybe a little bit more exciting off the track when these drivers get back to their pits and are a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, so excuse me. Um, so talk to us about how excited you are to obviously have the Daytona 500, but obviously be working on the IndyCar side of things, because I understand that you are working on both ends. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll be doing a little bit of both, or a lot of bit of both this season. And obviously, there's always been a lot of IndyCar, NASCAR crossover when you talk about storylines and drivers, doing either one off in NASCAR or obviously Kyle Larson doing the double. So, we certainly have been paying attention to what's been going on the IndyCar side. But now that you've got the full season on Fox. I'll be a little bit more ingrained in talking to those drivers as well. Obviously, a lot of great personalities there, and again, watching those races on the road courses, they're banging fenders like they're stock cars, not like that they're Indy cars. So I'm pretty excited to see some of that in person and to see how both racing series kind of develop.
So we'll touch on IndyCar a little bit towards the end here, but I want to get your opinion on something big in motorsports. Dale Earnhardt Jr. team coming to the Cup Series for the 500. Where were you and how did you find out about the news?
I started hearing rumors a few weeks ago, so I've been trying to get the people at Junior Motorsports to confirm it. But so look, everybody knows that Dale Jr. wants to go Cup racing. They just got to figure out a financial model that makes it make sense. And uh, one thing about Dale Jr. and his sister Kelly is that they don't do things that don't make financial sense. So you need to have a sponsor, and you need to be able to know that you're going to be able to do it right. And I think with Junior Motorsports, their relationship with Hendrick, they're getting Greg Ives to crew chief. Greg Ives, he's been on the front row several times of the Daytona 500, whether it was with Dale Jr. or Alex Bowman. So he knows how to make a car go fast at Daytona. So that's what they would want. And then obviously they have sponsorship as well through Chris Stapleton and his whiskey company. So, all the pieces for this fit. Now, whether that means any cup races beyond the Daytona 500, I think we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think that they're convinced that they'll be doing it, but this at least gives them a little bit of a feel of what they would need to do to get that done.
Yeah, so talk to us about um the rest of the Daytona 5 entry field. Did Bob Papa see any surprises when you first heard about the Daytona 500 entry list?
I mean, I was a little bit surprised when I heard Elio Castro Neves would be racing. They had tried to get that deal done in the past and didn't get done. So the fact that Trackhouse was able to get it done for him, and then really surprised that NASCAR created this provisional, which isn't just for the Daytona 500, but can be for a superstar from another form of motorsports. So the fact that he is in the race, if he doesn't qualify in, they'll add a 41st spot for him to get in. So that's surprising. But I would say he's the biggest surprise. Man, you're gonna have probably 9 open cars for those 4 spots. You're looking at, the guys like Anthony Alfredo and JJ Yaley and, whoever is in the Carl Long owned car. They're going to have, it's going to be tough because they're going to be going up against a Tricon car that has a lot of Gibbs support for Martin Truex Jr. You've got the Elio car. You've got Jimmy Johnson in there. So it's going to be a full battle. BJ McLeod knows how to run on the super speedways. So it's going to be a big battle for these last couple of spots for sure.
And so, like I said, we'll go back to IndyCar in a second, but um, I guess when you heard IndyCar was coming to Fox, what was your first reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is that the Indy 500 obviously is something I grew up with. I lived in Indiana from when I was 10 through high school. We're going off to college, so very familiar with the Indy 500 and the IndyCar series, and get to be able to go back home again in Indiana, right? Potentially for the Indy 500, and just knowing how much that race is ingrained in the community. I always tell people, when you hear the song Back Home Again, Indiana, you wonder, well, gosh, what's the big deal? Well, like you learn that in elementary school in choir, right? So it brings you back to kind of your childhood when you hear that song played. So it's going to be, I mean, look, you don't have to be from Indiana to know that the Indy 500 is one of the greatest races in the world of motorsports, and to be able to know that we have both the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500 on Fox is just something that you get excited about. Everybody loves big events, and those are 2 of the biggest events in motorsports. And beyond the Indy 500, the IndyCar Series is a great series. A lot of interesting drivers, a lot of contact, a lot of emotion week in and week out.
Well, guess what? IndyCar's coming here to Iowa, so maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll cross paths when you come to Iowa to report on the IndyCar side of things. But I'd be remiss if I get into so like this. Who do you think is going to win not only the Daytona 500, not only the Coca-Cola 600, but the Indy 500? All 3 big races that is going on
All
this
right. All right. I'm making my predictions today, but if I change my mind in the next few weeks, don't yell at me. For the Daytona 500, right now, I would say it will be. I think it's going to be tough to beat Brad Keselowski in the Daytona 500. For the Coke 600, I would go with the guy whose hat you're wearing, Chase Elliott. And for the Indy 500, I would go with Pato Award. He's come close so many times. I think this will be his year.
So, Bob, thank you for coming on. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule. Real quick, um, how um how do you feel about giving my viewers an undertake about everything motorsports one time a year so that they can look forward to you coming back on? What do you say to that commitment?
I say, first off, I say thank you, but I just look forward to interacting with everybody again, trying to explain the rules, trying to explain everything that's going on. And I think everybody can look forward to an exciting season on the NASCAR side. It's going to be wild. Is Kyle Busch going to be able to come back from his winless season? And if so, how does that impact his future at RCR? And then on the IndyCar side, you've got guys like Colton Herta and Pato Award who had some Formula One aspirations and hopes. So is this going to be their last year in IndyCar, or will in and or will they be staying in IndyCar beyond this year when potential flirtations with F1?
All right. Well, thank you for your thoughts today, Bob, and we will see you next time on Full Throttle. This has been Justin and Bob. Goodbye, everyone.